What's up, everybody? It's the Roundtable Sports Podcast. Today, we're taking a look back at the top 50 plays from Derrick Henry in the 2020 season with the Tennessee Titans. And obviously, with Derrick Henry, it starts with his physical nature. The guy is 6'5", 250, and he looks every bit of it and maybe even a little bit more. I mean, the guy is just a physical specimen like not many that I've ever seen. I mean, usually they're not so tall and just so big. And when you got somebody that is that tall and strong rumbling at you, let me tell you, it is a load to try and bring that guy down. And then especially play after play when you're having to, get this guy to the ground, and it just wears on you. It injures you. He can hurt you in, the most physical of ways that not a lot of guys are capable of in today's NFL. And, guys that are punishing like that, they take a pretty big, hit a lot of the time, and they take a lot of punishment. So it's crucial for those guys to really have something special as far as their physical nature if they're going to be able to hold up to that kind of workload and that type of punishment. And Derrick Henry absolutely has that as a part of his game and more. As a matter of fact, like you see breaking down after a season like that. But if Adrian Peterson has taught me anything, I tend to bet on guys that are physical freaks like Derrick Henry is. So I'm not going to, shy away from him when it comes to getting him in fantasy just because he had a big workload, because I believe he's the type of guy that can hold up to that type of thing. And I think the Titans are smart about the way that they use him. I mean, yeah, they give him the ball a lot. During the flow of the game, most of the time it feels right, and it doesn't feel like it's anything he can't handle. So, like I said, I'm not betting against Derrick, really having another great season here coming up in 2021 at all. I was a little concerned when they let Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith go, and then A.J. Brown had two small knee surgeries in the offseason. Before the Julio Jones trade, I was a little worried about where defense is going to creep up and, get into the box more on Derrick Henry. But I love the Julio Jones trade in an effort to back those defenses off and give them something to worry about besides what they should be worrying about, which is this guy getting to the second level and they're having secondary members having to tackle this guy, because that's where the huge plays happen. Is once he gets past those linebackers, those secondary players do not have a lot of answers for how they're going to bring him to the ground. So that's what you're looking for. And if Julio and AJ can continue to bring those safeties off and draw their coverage versus having them look at Derrick Henry, that's just going to give him another step or two, and that's going to mean that he's further downhill, and it's just harder and harder to tackle him as he gets going downhill. The Titans have done a great job of getting Derrick Henry a lot of runway to get going, whether that's just lining him up a little deeper in the backfield or, using I formation and two-back sets, which are a little bit more rare in today's NFL. It'll be interesting to see what the new offensive coordinator can do now that Arthur Smith is the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I got to think that they'll, do a lot of the same things and try to create a lot of the same offense, but it's always a concern when there's a new offensive coordinator coming off of a career year. But I have faith that the Titans know who they are and what they want to do, and they will continue to do what they've been doing. And, with that extra runway, Derrick does a great job of getting going and then using his shiftiness and tremendous vision to get guys off of his path and not let guys square him up. You notice that there's not a lot of square big-time hits where, people are in front of him and lighting him up. They really don't get a chance because he just, works those angles and makes all these subtle moves in his body weight where, he isn't where the defenders expect him to be. If you didn't watch the film and see the highlights and everything, you might be tempted to think that, oh, he's just a big guy and he runs into the line and sometimes, runs over guys. But you can see here it's more than that. And any time that he's able to get the edge or any time that he's able to get out in space, he's a threat to take it all the way. That's part of the reason you always see stories about them throwing him the ball more and them trying to work him more into the passing game, because you want him in space against these linebackers and against these cornerbacks and safeties, because he's really hard to handle in those scenarios. I'm more interested in the news of having Taylor Lewan back. I'm more interested in Ryan Tannehill looking as comfortable as he ever has, taking the pressure off of Derrick Henry. I mean, those are the things I'm thinking about more than the passing game. I'm thinking about Derrick Henry on the tracks. What are you going to do? Are you going to make business decisions, or are you actually going to tackle this guy 20 times a game? We just have to hope that they can recreate the magic that we've seen here, because it was a lot of fun to watch.